And welcome to Analysing Avatar, the podcast where we review episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender and have now moved into Legend of Korra. We are on Harmonic Convergence. I'm Dan, I'm joined as always by the wonderful Chris.
Hi, kids.
Oh, that got weird. I don't know why that was weird. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You recently challenged me to be more to be less sarcastic and about the intros, because the intros always feel really sort of forced and artificial to me. So I really put effort into making that one not awkward and weird and sarcastic, and it feels like somewhere subconsciously you went, "I'm torpedoing this."
I don't think there's anything wrong with hi, kids.
Okay,
it's maybe patronising, but I don't think it's. I don't know if it's weird. Hey, kids.
The more you try to make it sound normal and casual, the weirder it sounds. Hello, fellow kids.
I don't know. Hey, cool dudes.
Hey, hip happening cats. You off to the discotheque to get a boogie
How's it
on?
going, dudes?
I love it. We have torpedoed this podcast immediately.
I know. Stunning work.
It's pretty good. So anyway,
and the viewers wouldn't have even heard your Huey Lewis story that you've just been telling. We torpedoed it even more.
Well, I was pretty in my head. I'm going, I don't know if I'll include that. And it's worth clarifying. I don't personally have a Huey Lewis story. I saw a video of Huey Lewis that I told Chris about. I should clarify.
Yeah, it did sound very funny.
If anyone wants to know what clip I'm talking about, just Google. It's Huey Lewis, I think, and Michael Jackson. I think. No, it's Michael Jackson for sure. Huey Lewis is the one I'm like actually only 50-60% on who it was. Let me just check because I've got the video. Oh no, I don't have the video. I swear I had. There it is. Yeah, it's Michael Jackson with Huey Lewis. Yes, I'll send you the clip later, Chris. But if anyone wants to Google that clip, it's pretty good. Anyway, So, yeah, Harmonic Convergence, the episode in which the gang attempt to stop Unalaq's evil plan before the planets all line up, and then they don't.
And in conclusion, they don't.
I'll be honest with you, Chris. Don't care for this one. There's one element of it I love, but the rest of it, nah.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things where, sometimes you watch an episode and you go, I wonder what the summary is. I wonder what the takeout is. And I watched this episode and I was like, sort of depends what comes next. Feels very much like a part one. It's a good cliffhanger. It's a very good cliffhanger, in fact. It's one of the best, I would say. But, I haven't got much to say other than it's a good cliffhanger. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice to have the villain essentially achieve their goal, 2 episodes from the end. Very, very sort of Thanos at the end of Infinity War, right? The villain wins. You sort of... There's a version of this, a less interesting maybe version of this show, or this story, I should say, where this moment, Korra closing the portals, is the end of the series, and she prevents Unalaq doing his dodgy rock stuff, and then you go, that's the end of the series. She stopped the bad guy from achieving their goal. To have the bad guy essentially, at least to some degree, to what exactly degree and what that means for the world is still to be seen. But to have him at least succeed in this moment is certainly an interesting setup for the subsequent 2 episodes, for sure.
Yeah, and I like that. The trouble with this season, Dan, is that, there's other things
other than the massively shifting quality.
But there's that. But there's also other stuff where it's like, I'm bored of talking about certain things over and over again. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? And if I'm bored of the sound of my own voice, then the listeners definitely are. Because I don't love how they handled love triangle bullshit, because once again it was a scene at the beginning of the episode for the sake of having a scene about something, because it's their version of doing serialized story is to occasionally go, oh, this is an ongoing story, we're chucking one scene about it. No one wants to hear me. Do you know what I mean? That's all I have to say about that. I don't want to talk about that for another 10 minutes because we've talked about that issue. I, in particular, seem to bring that up every time they do it. So it's just like there's a lot of stuff that's like,
stuff we've already complained about.
See earlier discussion, like that's
we
a
could,
bit
we
annoying.
could, if you want, Chris. What we'll do, we'll just edit in our points from all the previous episodes that have had the issues this episode has had, and then we'll just record an outro, and we'll just stick them in the middle. We'll just edit it together.
It'd be easier for us, wouldn't it? Well, no, it'd be harder for you because I imagine that would take the editing time would take longer than just recording.
It would. Look, I think it's like I agree with you to a lot of sense. Some of the recurring issues of the season in general are here for sure. See our discussion on love triangle bullshit. See our discussion on kind of generic, uninspired action. There's a fair bit of that in this episode. Lacking any real sort of creativity. There's a couple of nice moments, but let's just say more than 50% of the action in this episode suffers from that problem. You can debate the exact ratio if you want, but there's a high percentage, more than half, I'd say. Because I could just hear already people saying, but when they fly in and the spirits follow them, but we've never seen that before. Yeah, there's a couple of nice moments, I get it. The other issue, for me, is just the simple execution of the actual story of this episode just wasn't particularly interesting, because they didn't do a very good job making me understand the timings of it. The exact requirements of this quest, right? Because it feels to me like if we were really that tight on time before Harmonic Convergence, then maybe stopping to have a chat with Boomy about how he saved them rather than running straight to the portal, or stopping to have a conversation about, hey, we may not come back from this, maybe not helpful. Because I was not aware that they were just going to at some point, click a stopwatch and have Korra lose. As a viewer, for my tension in the episode, maybe continually cut back to the planets getting closer to alignment. Don't just do it the once, right when it's happening. So I understand there's a timer. But they don't want to do that because they don't want me questioning why the characters aren't moving faster.
Yeah, because they made the decision to do like the joke of everyone looking shocked at Boomy saving them. And don't get me wrong, there was funny stuff there. Boomy's rescue in general was great.
The setup and payoff of that is my favourite thing in this episode. So I don't want anyone misunderstanding.
And Boomy's, you wouldn't believe me anyway.
It's incredible.
Really
we'll talk about that in more detail in a bit, because I love everything about that storyline. It's so good. So we'll come back to that. I think that deserves its own little sub conversation. But in terms of the wider episode, if you're telling me that the premise of the episode is they're going to try and stop his plan, and the problem is they're running out of time, the episode doesn't feel like that. The episode doesn't communicate that enough for me to feel tension. And when Korra gets in there, and they're in there for like 30 seconds, and then it's like, you missed it, cut off. You go, cool. I didn't realize it was that close. I guess you've just arbitrarily rang the bell. This is Donald Trump yelling, stop the count. Like, the battle just began, and she'd lost. And there was no tension to it. I was surprised by that fact. And I know that, like, Harmonic Convergence, like, it's not like that they could have a... Like, it's not like Tenzin could be like, I've invented a special spirit watch that tells you exactly when Harmonic Convergence will happen. It's in 15 minutes, and we tick that down. I get it. You can't do that. But you've got to do something. Because the whole premise of this episode is stopping him from achieving that goal. And I wasn't sure how close he was to achieving it at any point. So I never felt tension. It was, I'm not sure how far away we are from winning or losing this. I'm not sure how far away we are from winning or losing this. I'm not sure how far away from... Oh, we lost. That was why this episode was. It's madness.
Specifically, the battle to defend and the last-ditch attempt to stop it had no real tension. I wasn't really sure where anyone was. Like, if they had worked it differently, not done the random insert of love triangle bullshit serialized story, Maybe I did really like the Boomy stuff, but maybe shorten that a little bit and actually have, you could have had a Team Avatar fight in that moment. In fact, a lot of the cool Boomy stuff, the spirits attacking and latching onto the animal and stuff, do all that at the end. Do those visuals, but make it about that tension, because basically they escape, and then very quickly the convergence happens, and all the time is dedicated to seeing its effect on the world and stuff, which did look kind of cool. I did like that. It felt quite like Masters of the Universe in its sort of epicness. But it's just specifically that race to stop him at the end. A lot of the cool stuff in the fights earlier, I think, could have taken place in that episode, because then you're not going, hold on, remind me, where exactly is everyone again? You'd know, like Boomy and maybe Tenzin are being attacked by spirits on, I don't know the animal's name, sorry.
Pabu and Naga.
Yeah, on Naga. Maybe they're getting attacked on Naga. Maybe Marco and Bolin are doing some cool shit that's like the fire competition. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you just move some of that there instead.
Yeah.
I suppose then you're not having them getting captured, but I just think that would have potentially been more tense and more exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to get them captured, because you obviously have to have the villain do the villain monologue, because we need a villain monologue, because we haven't had one or 2 episodes time. We got. I think contractually you have to have a villain monologue every 2 episodes in this show, and I think, You're right. I think, and because they try to, there's that whole thing before they go in the portal where they and remind me of the plan. No, the plan is you guys go in and you keep Unalaq busy while Korra goes to shut the portal. Like, okay, that makes a certain amount of sense, I guess. If you 3 are going in, divide and conquer, Mako and Bolin are going to try and keep Unalaq busy. That allows Korra to go close the portal. It's as good a plan as any. But again, there's no sense of why couldn't it have been Korra looks up, there's some sort of indication. Maybe make the when you're in the spirit world, you can somehow see those planets in the sky. They're more visible in the spirit world or something, right? So Korra gets in there, she looks up, she's like, I have less time than I thought, and she looks over at the portal. Unalaq gets between her and the portal. She runs at him, she leaps over him, and as he's about to grab her and stop her, Bolin and Mako hit him, and she's making her way to the portal. They're fighting. Then Unalaq sort of does a move that blows those 2 away, and then he goes back after Korra, and there's it's about stopping Korra getting to the portal. Not she's at the portal and trying, but she's just not avataring hard enough, so the timer runs out. Actually make it the tension is, will she get to the portal in time? And that's what's happening. Instead of what we got, which was just these 2 are having a fight with Unalaq, and Korra's over there trying, and then the timer runs out. There's no tension to that. It's just horribly set up and framed and very poorly thought out, I think. And it's just when your entire episode is this mission, stop Unalaq, when it comes down to that, it just does not feel satisfying in the end at all. I just a battle for just reaching the portal might have been more interesting.
What did you think of the actual sequence where the emergence happens?
Oh, incredible. The visuals, the colour shifting, getting to see how it affected different places in the world, and just a handful of places that we're obviously familiar with through Korra. I would have been open as well to seeing places we hadn't seen in this show. Just places we visited in the past. Wouldn't it have been cool to just get a glimpse of, I don't know, an old air temple we've not visited yet, in Korra, or the Northern Water Tribe, or, I don't know, because it was very specifically, Korra-based locations. What about somewhere in the Earth Kingdom, like Ba Sing Se, or, the place Boomy's from, the original Boomy.
I can't remember. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I just forgot the word convergence, so I definitely can't remember where Boomy comes from.
Wait! That's gonna kill me. I'm looking it up and it'll be one of those things where I get halfway into typing it and it'll come to me. No, it hasn't come to me. Omashu. It wouldn't have been nice to see Omashu or somewhere from the fight like Ember Island, or I don't know, just some more places than we saw in this. I thought would have been nice, but either way, the visual itself is still really cool, and the actual cliffhanger itself is a really cool idea. Like, I think I wrote that down in my notes. I think I literally wrote, what did I write? Yeah, this outcome is interesting and the visuals are good, but this ending kind of sucks because there's no sense of timings or the dynamics of what's going on. Like, yeah, there's no tension, basically. It's really neat. Seeing Republic City plunged into these weird lights and colours and stuff was really fascinating.
For me, it was the fact that each city getting plunged was almost like drawn. It was almost like we were looking at a painting, not a scene from the show. I don't know what that's called. I don't know what artistic, I don't know what the name of that is. But I definitely noticed it and thought, that looks fucking cool.
It really does. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the episode's budget clearly went into that. And I agree with you. It's definitely a highlight of the episode. This really awesome, terrifying visual, and it really adds to that cliffhanger. That threat. You see the effect this is going to have on the world, and you go like, wow, yeah. So that's fascinating for sure. The question is, I suppose, what does it mean? I mean, we get a villain monologue. I'd like to ask your thoughts on the villain monologue. I can read you a quick quote from it, if you'd like, if you recall what his plan is or what he says. Because I honestly, at this point, I had to really focus to make sure I made note of what he was actually saying. Because once a villain starts talking in this show at the moment, my brain turns off. Specifically, Unalog. He says, "You think what Avatar 1 did was good, driving almost all the spirits from this world. The Avatar hasn't brought balance, only chaos. You call yourself the bridge between the two worlds, but there shouldn't be a bridge. We should live together as one." So with that as a big part of his thing, and then referring to himself as, he mentions he's going to fuse with Vaatu, the way that Wan fused with Rava, and become a dark Avatar. How did you feel about all that stuff, especially in light of the ending itself?
I thought the premise was a really interesting premise. Becoming a dark avatar, I thought, especially as we've just got the origins of, the light avatar. I thought that was really logical and cool, and an interesting threat. Almost if they became that at the end of the season, and that became the threat for season 3, I'd be happy. I'd be like, not happy for the world, obviously, but I'd be happy with that as a storyline. Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting. Like you say, it's a bit villain monologue, and it's definitely an idea that can go either way. We've seen a lot of good versions of that, and then we've seen a lot of, bad versions of the notion of the villain becoming the equivalent of the good guy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Every season of The Flash had someone that could run faster than Barry, and Doctor Who did it particularly badly.
Not another guy that can run faster than Barry. What's he going to do? He's going to get faster.
Exactly. And at least in the movie, the recent, Ezra Miller movie, at least the villain was different. At least the villain was, the CGI. That's one positive that movie had.
The villain was the fact that they had the rights to the likenesses of deceased people and used them without any any cool moral qualms about whether that would be acceptable. Yeah. That's the villain. Yeah. I'll take bad CGI. Is frustrating for me as a consumer of media, but isn't exactly morally evil. The villain of the Flash movie was the willy-nilly use of the likenesses of people who've passed away,
especially when there was just no. We can't not to distract us, but there was also just no. I have seen the Flash now, as you may be able to guess, but there was just no point to that stuff. There was no need for that stuff other than to say to the audience, hey, look at this. Yeah. I didn't love it in Star Wars or Ghostbusters Afterlife, but at least it was tied to the story and the characters and all those sorts of things in those movies. Like, this is just there for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, except obviously for
one bit that me and you would specifically absolutely love. Can I ask the question of did you know that was coming? Because I've been dying to find out.
I did know. Not the exact what they were fighting. was a surprise and obviously
Right.
something that I very much understood.
Yes.
But I knew they were in it.
This is a coded message to literally like a handful of people who understand what we're talking about. But if you understand, you understand. Anyway, moving away from the Flash.
Yes. So we've seen a lot of that recently. You know, so Doctor Who was my example. The Power of the Doctor, as of recording the last episode, you know, that did a version of that, and I just. You know, so it definitely can go either way, but it is nonetheless, if done well, especially because of the cleverness of us seeing the origins of Avatar 1, an interesting storyline. I was kind of, in that sequence though, I was more trying to work out how his children felt, because obviously he was a dick to them. He was a dick to them the last episode.
Glad you brought this
so
up.
I spent a lot of that scene, rather than particularly concentrating on what he was saying.
Yep.
I spent a lot of that scene, if I'm being honest, trying to work out if the kids were going to be the answer, if the kids were going to rebel, if the kids were going to go against him, because they've been treated poorly for a few episodes in a row now, and I was looking for hints of, well, no, this doesn't seem like a good idea, actually.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I had the exact same experience. Like, the reason I had to go back and listen to his monologue again and literally write down what he said, because otherwise I wasn't going to remember, is because I also was watching Esker and Desna, who were framed very deliberately in the shot so you could watch them as he spoke, and they definitely exchanged looks a couple of times. And even though once Unalaq leaves, and I think it's Bolin tries to reason with them and says, hey, you know this isn't right, Desna is very much like, you know, my father is a wise man and I believe him. You still get the impression either he doesn't 100% believe that, but if not, still Esker, who says nothing, might be less convinced. So they've laid some seeds there for a plant that may grow into something interesting in the last couple episodes. But I like you, was very drawn in with that, and I think that's actually, you know, again, credit to the creative team on that front, because, you know, to lay that, to embed that in a way where I knew to be looking for their reaction, I think is good. You know, I don't think that's bad writing or anything. I don't think that's lazy. It's on the nose. It's not subtle. You know, I'm not congratulating them on embedding it in a way that I'm like, oh, it'll make a lot of sense when you look back that they weren't sure. Like, it's really, really obvious that the show wants you to question their allegiance and wonder what they're thinking during that speech. But it that doesn't matter. That's fine. Like, it's laid out the breadcrumbs, and you'll follow, and then you trust that storyline might end up somewhere satisfying. But I really liked what they did with it. I thought, you know, as much as little screen time as those two characters have, it actually says a lot about how much I've in sort of imbibed about what they're about, that I was going, oh, I wonder what they think to this, because they didn't seem 100% on board in that scene a couple of weeks ago when he was being a real dick, you know. So the fact the show has almost taught me to be watching out for them and their reactions to this stuff. Maybe I'm hoping for a face turn, as the term would be in the world of wrestling. Being a turn to good, you know. So I agree with you. That I'm really glad you picked up on that too, because I felt a bit crazy that I had to rewatch the villain monologue just to understand what the villain was saying, because I was too busy watching the other two.
No, and like you say, it feels like a very deliberate choice, which is
a
good thing on behalf of the creators. Let's talk about Boomy then.
Yes.
Give me your joy of Boomy.
This is so good. This is so good. Because, so for those who don't recall, the Boomy's plot in this episode is the most coherent thing about this episode, other than villain win at the end. Basically, at the start of the episode, Boomy keeps giving stories, examples from his lives of how to get out of certain situations, right? And Tenzin keeps being like, for God, like, these lies, can we get serious about this, Boomy? I don't care about the time whatever nonsense Boomy had been spouting, or seemingly thing that sounded like nonsense, at least, right? You know, without context. You know, me and 17 penguins defeated it. You know, it's not exactly that. I've not got the quote in front of me, but that's the kind of thing he would say. I once solved this problem with a single apple or whatever, and you'd be like, yeah, whatever, Boomy. And I even wrote down, because I'd forgotten where this episode goes. I was like, oh, Boomy's stories lies. And then I was like, hopefully they pay this off. I literally wrote that in the notes because it just kept happening. And then there's the whole thing of, like, attack from above, which builds into it. So the whole plot of the episode is how are they getting to the portal for Korra to stop it. And it's Boomy, the military, the guy with military history, keeps having these suggestions, and one is to attack from above. Now, it does get them caught, but it gets them damn close. And I think this is a weird choice, by the way, because if I monologue, right, and I find them at the foot of the portal before I'm doing it, I'm not like, you've got a front row seat to my new world order. I'd be like, hey, stick them on a vehicle and get them out of here. The further away, the better. Like, the portal, like, I've got, like, 10 minutes. And I don't need them anywhere near this shit. I'm not just going to leave them next to the portal where they have the power to stop my plan. Like, nil point. No. Stick them on a boat, stick them on a snow ski, or Korra particularly. The rest can stay. They're no threat. Korra's the only one who can close the damn portal. Get Korra out of there. Stick her in a cannon, fire her into space. It doesn't matter. Just get rid of her. But he doesn't do that because he's an idiot. So then it becomes like Boomy is the only one that didn't get captured through, I wouldn't say bravery as such, more stupidity.
No.
But there's this amazing confluence of moments where Boomy's on his own, everyone else is captured, and we see how it plays out from Boomy's perspective, which is he uses his flute to attract sort of quell an angry spirit. Then he teams up with that spirit in Naga and Pabu, and he storms the base, and then a series of mishaps occur that lead to him being in a mech tank that gets caught on a rope that's connected to the tower at the center, and as he swings around, he like knocks buildings down. He basically takes out this whole camp essentially by accident, but also through a little bit of skill. I mean, I'm not going to take away from Boomy here. And then he finally, like, the final thing happens, he ejects from the mech, slides on the thing, and slides into the tent that they're all in as it collapses around them and reveals the destroyed camp. And it says something like, how did you do it? How did you single-handedly take out this entire camp? And he's like, it started with my trusty flute. And then he's like, you know what? No, you're not going to believe me. And what I love so much about this and the way this comes together is how pitch perfect it is, because it is such an absurd sequence of events. For this storyline to work, the events we witness have to be so absurd that a retelling of them would defy belief, but also plausible enough that I don't call BS on the episode. And it has to line up in an episode like this, where we've already established Boomy's extraordinary stories, and then we have to really create a sequence of events like that. The way it all comes together and ends with him in the tent as everything collapses around him is just genius, because then you start to go, maybe all of his stories are real? Maybe Boomy's just that guy?
I was going to say, that's my favourite thing about it, the notion that actually Boomy's been telling the truth the whole time, and that all of his stories did actually happen, because they're all as unbelievable as this one.
Yeah, right. And it's just, from a writing perspective, it's a great payoff for the character. It tells us something about Boomy, I think. But also, I think it's a really impressive trick to create a sequence of events that is both believable to us, the viewer, as they occur, but sounds ridiculous when the character that experienced them repeats them. That's actually really hard to do, because you've got to make it somewhat ridiculous for that to work. It's just a really fine line of plausibility they have to lie on to make this whole storyline function, and it works really well. And I think as well, it tells something really interesting about Boomy, because I think Boomy as a character has always been like, he makes up these stories because he's got this chip on his shoulder about not being a bender, right? And there may be an element of exaggerating. He's been caught out exaggerating in the past. You remember one of his stories, he kept expanding the number of things he was fighting or something like that. Every time he told the story, it was more. And I think he even says, I may have made up a such a thing or two for dramatic effect, but the essence of the story is accurate. The exaggerating is part of the character, but he's not incapable. That's the important thing we learn about Boomy in this episode. While some of this is happenstance and almost accidents, like going into the mech tank and it getting caught on that rope and destroying half the camp, was not design. Boomy did not plan that. But getting in there in the first place, quelling that spirit, a lot of that was him. He fought that spirit reasonably smartly. And I just like this idea that, like, we've demonstrated why Boomy always exaggerates his stories previously, so we can now add to that but how does he get out of them in the first place? Because if all of his stories are lies, how is he alive? These are all stories that put his life in danger. If any element of them happened, how did he get out of them? And the answer is through a mix of quick thinking and luck. And
which fits so perfectly with the character.
Right, and it's so yeah. The Boomy of it all in this episode is just incredible. Like it's everything about it from top to bottom. Every line of dialogue, every choice that they make in the script, everything you see Boomy do in this episode is perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's so satisfying to watch and very, very enjoyable, and is really, you know, why is this stupid A plot getting in the way of my B plot? B standing for Boomy. You know, I just don't, like it's such a highlight of this episode. It almost throws into sharp relief that the rest of the episode isn't great. that is a problem.
And visually, it's great. I think the ending is for me the visual highlight, but the visuals and the action in that sequence are also brilliant. And like you said earlier, unique and something we haven't really seen before.
Right.
And a lot of fun. So yeah, I do really like that.
And when Boomy's one-on-one with the spirit, that stuff is great. It's low key but still really engaging because it's kind of funny, but also there is threat to it. Like when he's punching the spirit and it's not reacting, and then it just smacks him over the snow. Like that's surprisingly effective for a very small scale. Considering this episode has, you know, huge scale battles for the universe or whatever. I think I was more engaged in Boomy's one-on-one fight with that spirit because it was really well choreographed and really well thought out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the real highlight. That, and like I say, the sequence at the end. We got a Katara little cameo. That was good.
Yeah, I think just that's fine, right? Like that makes sense. Like, so I'm a little torn on Katara of it all. Very quickly, just let me lay out my concern and see if you can quell it. Katara's healing powers are for injuries, yes?
Yes.
She's trapped in the spirit world. That's spirit shit. Katara had no spirit shit powers because she would have helped Aang many times. So why have they brought Jinora to Katara?
Because I just think she's the best. They don't know what state she's going to be in when she comes out of it. I didn't get the vibe at any point that they were saying Katara could categorically heal her. They just made the point of Tenzin's got to go and defend the world. It makes sense for her to go to Katara.
Right. Okay.
She's seen Aang be in the spirit world many times. She's been in this position. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I buy that. It's one of those things where, like, sometimes you have to have that debate of, like, did the episode just not make it very, like, explain it very well, or did I just not take it in very well? Because sometimes it's on the audience, right, to pick up what's there. And I never know where the line is for deciding whose responsibility is what in situations like that. Because I just kind of left that scene feeling like, well, why? But yeah, the way you've laid it out, that makes sense. Because to me, in my head, I was just like, she's not injured. What's Katara doing? Like, that's not helping.
I've tried to keep her energy flowing, but I can feel her slipping away. You're the only one who can help her now, Mum. So yeah, I think, you know, she was, you know, well, I suppose she wasn't particularly about, well, no, water and energy, and yeah, I don't think they expressly say, they say you're the only one that can help her, not you're the only one you can categorically heal her. So, she's strong to have lasted this long.
So maybe this is an episode thing then, not a Dan being stupid thing. Because let me ask you the question here, Chris. If they'd have said the sentence, we need to keep her body going until we can retrieve her spirit, that would have made a lot more sense to my brain.
Yeah,
maybe that's what they were. Maybe that's what they were trying to imply. But I didn't initially take that away from it. You know, only now am I thinking about it going, that's probably what it is. Because I think there is one stray line where Katara says something like, and if you've got the transcript in front of you, you can probably see it. There's a line where Katara says something like, I'm surprised she's already survived a week like this. She wouldn't survive more.
She says she's very strong to have survived this long.
Right, there you go. So, you know, that implies we're talking about while she's separated from spirit and body, like while the two are separated, the body will suffer. So this is about keeping the body going until the spirit can be returned, right? So, but they don't. I just think maybe clearer dialogue there might have helped with that for me. Maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's fair. And actually, I really like the notion of well, it's about keeping her body strong. So this is what we're going to do.
Right. Because without the soul, the spirit, the body just eventually gives in. Like it needs, the two need to be together long term for survival. So while separated, the body weakens. So we need to keep that going. If they'd have laid that out, I think I would have felt a bit better about it. But otherwise, I was just like, what's Katara doing? She ain't cut. She ain't injured. She ain't hurt. I'm a little bit fansplaining there, but I don't think 100%. I think that's kind of reading between the lines of what's said in the episode, maybe. But I still wish it had been clearer. Or, Q next year when we do a feedback from last series and there's 100 comments telling me that it was very obvious and clearly I had COVID brain again.
Yeah, well, we see her daughter, Tenzin's sister. I've got it here. She's clearly like doing stuff with the body while she's in the bath and the water and stuff. So I think it's there, but I don't think it's. I think it's reasonable to say it's not as overt as it could be.
Yeah, needs maybe just slightly more clear. Yeah, okay. That's not the end of the world, though. I mean, I don't hate the idea is good. Again, just the constant thing I'm sick of saying this season. Good idea, wobbly execution. This is like absolute, like just the bane of this season's existence. One thing I didn't mention actually while we were on the Boomy thing, very quickly, I've just spotted it in my notes. I love, by the way, that Boomy, like Aang, just makes friends everywhere. Music lover, eh? Pulls out his flute, befriends the thing. That's very Aang. There's something about that made me feel warm and fuzzy for Aang, even though Aang is past.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was good Aang nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm not overtly so. It wasn't like, oh, just like your father. You're just like no one winked and said you're just like your dad. That was just the right level of subtle, where it was like there and reasonably clear to anyone who's paying attention. That one's one of those examples where I didn't need dialogue to clear that up. That I understood that sort of like that sense of like I learned enough about Aang as a character to see him befriend so many strangers along his journey, to see Boomy befriend this evil spirit. Or this dark spirit, whatever word you want to use, was very nice. Yeah, felt reminiscent of that somehow.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What other notes have you got?
Well, we'll talk. Should we talk about the mother-in-law joke that felt really out of place?
I don't know if I remember the mother-in-law joke. If I'm
right, look, I don't want to butcher a joke, Chris, and be accused of. I've just realised something. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, one sec. I was going to do for this week for trivia, bad trivia, because the trivia that I found was fucking dreadful. But I've just realised I searched Harmonic Convergence and found the page for Harmonic Convergence, the concept in the world of Avatar, not the episode. So I've just found the real trivia. That's way better. Okay. We'll be reading through that for the first time together in a little bit. Right, let me get the transcript because I want the mother-in-law joke. Here we go. If I'd wanted some ball of evil lurking over my shoulder all the time, I'd have stayed home with my mother-in-law.
Yeah, remind me who says that? I do remember it now. I've heard it.
It's one of Unalaq's like henchmen.
Yeah, no, that is unnecessary.
Wait, let me see if I can. 1 second. Well, give me a sec, Chris. Let's do this right. If we're gonna deliver this, let's deliver it correctly. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. Wait, what's the line before it? What's the feed line?
Just a guy says, huh.
Okay, I'll do that. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
If I'd wanted some ball of evil lurking over my shoulder all the time, I'd have stayed at home with my mother-in-law.
Nice.
I hope that sound went down the microphone. It was the classic comedy rim shot.
It's an obvious. It's not funny, and it's certainly not funny for the audience. Like, what a weird thing to put in there.
Yeah, it was a really weird. Oh, I missed the. I could have done a version of it that had laughter afterwards, but oh well. That would have been even better. Or I could have found the Seinfeld music as I said it. What's the deal with mother-in-laws? Although I recently realised that he doesn't really say "what's the deal" a whole lot in Seinfeld.
No, he doesn't.
He says it a handful of times, but not a great number of times. If you really wanted to make a joke that's like an impression of like a bad Seinfeld joke, a joke they repeat all the time, you'd be like, he used a pen. He's a pen user. That's what you'd do. You'd just take a concept and then claim he's a thing user or a thinger. You know, the guy sleeps on his front. He's a front sleeper. You know, that's a Seinfeld joke. Like in a nutshell. Way more so than saying...
or even just basically repeating something and going up an octave. So, you know... you took the milk from the bottom row? You never take the milk from the bottom row!
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's another good one. So it's funny because I've been slowly since the pandemic. And I literally mean like since 2020. Me and my girlfriend Nadia, for those who are new listeners, have been. I realized I called her my girlfriend. I was like, that's a weird thing to do. I normally just say Nadia. I was like, it probably makes sense because I thought otherwise I just say Nadia and people are like, who are you talking about? We've been slowly watching all of Seinfeld, and we're on season 7 now, heading into season 8. Yeah, just like, you know, not even one a week, like maybe 1 or 2 a week, maybe on some weeks we watch more than others, but like, yeah, it's I've been really enjoying it, but there is a real structure to Seinfeld.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway,
and still also one of my favourite things about Seinfeld is I still maintain. Oh, let me just shut the door just as I still maintain more than any other show. All the storylines in Seinfeld would be resolved with like a phone. Like, I know there's a lot of
many
stuff,
of
like,
them. Yes.
Oh, with modern technology, most episodes of Friends would be different. There's whole plots that would be solved in Seinfeld with a modern day
with the existence
smartphone.
of the mobile phone. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, a lot of them are just like mishaps that happen because characters can't communicate because they're separated because they're in 2 different places. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. For sure. Anyway. So I've just flicked through my other notes. So there's not a huge amount else. I will say, because there's a note here on something we've already talked about that I just forgot to mention. The Vaatu fusing with the Unalaq fusing with Vaatu to make a dark avatar thing. That's one of those ideas that's so interesting, but it is so entirely dependent on what they do with it now. I can't even be excited about it in the moment because I'm just like, it's so dependent on what comes next. Because the idea that like we're going to create a counter to Korra and have them fight is interesting. I don't know if I actually said the thing that would really bother me about it, which is just that it's literally even in the episode that it features in as an idea. And I was wondering, do you think that's more the trust the writers have kind of spent this season? They've spent so much of my trust and wasted so much of my trust across this season that leads to those kind of thoughts. Whereas if the season had been absolutely, you know, just nailing it left, right, and center, executing everything perfectly, would a person just be plain excited about that? Because they would assume it's going to be executed in an interesting way. Is the fact, even yourself, when you were talking about that idea earlier, it came with the caveat of, well, we'll see where it goes. Is that a result of the writers not earning our trust?
No, I think it's a cliffhanger thing. I think it plays very much like a cliffhanger, and I think that for me that sense of, well, let's see what happens next. It isn't about the faith in the writers, I don't think.
Well, so yes, for the ending, the very, very ending, but that speech in the middle where he talks about becoming a dark avatar and that potential concept, you know, of there being essentially an evil version of the avatar.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I think it's what I said earlier. It's more as a concept, it can go so either way. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's not about the writers. It's like, well, that idea in anyone's hand, even that idea in the hand of a writer, I love and trust. I'd still be like, could go wrong though easily.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Okay, so I think there's only one or two quick, very little things I want to talk about. We said that there was a quick moment of love triangle bullshit this episode. We haven't really talked about what it was. For those who don't recall, Mako is like, I'm definitely going to tell Korra, don't worry. It's just I'm trying to pick the right moment. And then she like kicks the head off like she's doing training, and she kicks the head off like a fake, like a target, like almost like a scarecrow type target. And he's like, but not yet.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, well, what about the other scenes? There's none. It's just that one scene.
Yeah. So,
if you're thinking,
not feel like a delaying the plot tactic?
It's everything we've said before. Insert here. It's serialized story by just chucking one scene about that serialized story in every week. It's I got nothing new to say on it. Same as you're thinking, oh yeah, but what happened with Asami? Nothing, because she got sidelined again because they don't fucking know what to do with Asami.
Justice for Asami. Justice for Asami.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Hashtag justice for Asami.
It's the same old shit. It's the same old shit. Those two things.
Yeah, agreed. I only wrote two other notes that we haven't talked about. And I'll read them verbatim. One just said Nuktuk, Sky Warrior, because I found that moment funny. Made sense. And then this one's meaner than I usually am, but I'm going to read it as I wrote it because I guess that's how I felt in the moment. The fight scene inside the portals feels so generic, like someone wrote in the script, they fight, and the animators took that literally.
I think that's fair though. Like it's not even that it's generic. It's too quick. There's no tension to it. Yeah. I think that's absolutely reasonable. Yeah.
Like they got to the end of the script and they were just like, they fight. Then the next line, they lose. Okay, right. In that case, then, Chris, you know what time it is. Let's triv it up! I'm going to give you some trivia. We'll start with what I called bad trivia, because I got it, so I might as well. There was just trivia that was just like, weirdly, just that's what happens in the episode. Why is this trivia? Like, Rava and Vaatu cannot permanently destroy each other, as defined, as the defeated spirit eventually regenerates from the victor. This is because neither light or darkness can explain itself. I'm like, yeah, that's like, we know that. That's been established. The only way to prevent a battle from Rava and Vaatu is if the portal remains closed while Vaatu is in this prison. Yeah, we know. That's in the episode. Like, and I was reading all these going, what the fuck is this trivia? So shit. And now I know. I'm not going to read the rest of them, but yeah, they were all like that. Yeah. So, the actual trivia, which I'm reading for the first time, and I've not had a chance to filter any. There are only like 5, so it's not going to hurt us. The Siege of the South Pole bears many similarities to Team Avatar's attack of the Earth Kingdom Royal Palace in the Earth King. Both groups are approached their respective destinations by air, and despite the expected smooth sailing, both were met by military resistance. In the case of Aang and his friends, their approach to the palace was hindered by the Royal Earthbender Guards. I recall that episode. Good episode. Yeah, tactically, that is a similar approach. I don't know if it's directly a reference, but it is visually not dissimilar. Naga and Pabu being left behind recalls a similar scene in Endgame. Oh, Endgame, yeah, previous season, not Endgame Avengers. I was very confused. In Endgame, where both animals were told to wait outside a Feroci's secret airfield in both episodes, Naga and Pabu ignored those instructions and ended up saving the team from imprisonment. That is true. Tick, you've repeated a beat from both 2 pieces of trivia so far have both been how about things in this episode were just ripped off from others. Thumbs up. The sound effect for the spreading spirit lights in the physical world is the same used for Vaatu's beam attacks. Cool. Great. The episode marks the first time Katara waterbends on screen in Legend of Korra. Sure.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, we've seen her a few times. She's never had the need to bend. Now she's bending. Okay, yeah, fair enough. When Tonraq tries to... that's one I would have removed, I think, because she's barely been on screen in Legend of Korra, so it's not exactly surprising this is the first time. It's also the first time we've seen her say the word when. You know, like, just... like, if you... Do you know what I mean? Like she's had like 3 scenes in the whole show. Everything is probably going to be a first for this show for her. Anyway, fine.
She said when a couple of episodes ago.
I strongly dislike you. When Tonrock tries to convince Unlock not to fuse with Vato, he says, "You're still a man. You're still my brother." However, in the previous episode, he angrily told Unlock, "You're no brother of mine." So, changed his fucking tune, hasn't he? Backpedaling in the face of his death, is he? Coward.
Or inconsistent writing.
Which could it be? Anyway. Korra practicing her airbending on a ship under Tenzin's instruction is similar to how Zuko practiced firebending on his ship under Iroh's instruction in The Boy in the Iceberg. I guess that's also technically true. That was again why the trivia is often short. Even when I got the real trivia, still weren't great. Thanks, Wiki. No, it's fine. Not every episode can have good trivia. We don't have, we don't have as much information about Korra's production as we do Avatar's because it was less successful. There weren't hundreds of DVDs released with different commentary tracks and behind the scenes things to give us more information. So often the trivia ends up being like that. Not the trivia writer's fault. Although I'm never going to forgive him for that Korra, that Katara one, because that's just nonsense, isn't it? I definitely would have cut that. Right.
Yeah, that was nonsense.
Feedback from last series. We've got 2 to choose from. I'm going to have a think about which one I'm choosing while Chris does his little singy song. Do a singy song, Chris.
Feedback from last year that we didn't get a chance to respond to. I'd say, Dan, that is the most I don't know what the fuck I'm doing this week to here's a theme and an idea and a sound to emulate, and I'm going to really stick to it. That was both the most concise and least concise theme tune I've ever done for that.
It was fascinating. It was a little insight into your mental state right now. Like how you just finished a long day's work. For listeners who don't know, Chris has just literally gotten home from work and jumped on a microphone today. I'm very appreciative that Chris has squeezed this in.
And has a rehearsed. Basically, guys, Dan was like, "Can you do this slot?" And the answer should have been no. But we needed to record. We hadn't recorded one, I think, in a week. And I was like, yeah. and I shouldn't have said yes. But it's all good. I've enjoyed myself.
And the thing is, Chris has gotten quite sneaky because he's realised that if he says, yeah, I'd have to put it between this and that, I'd go, well, we're not doing it then. Because I wouldn't force you to do that. But what Chris has gotten good at doing is being like, yeah, I'm free. And then, like, I've got to just get back from work. But yeah, theoretically, I'm free. I had no idea he was doing something after this too. So I've learned that now, as you have. So,
I'm in a 2-hander play, and tonight is the first night we're doing the entire play with no script at all. And it's a 2-hander. It's me and another guy for the entire thing. I shouldn't be.
You should be learning lines. Is what you should be doing.
I know.
Jesus Christ. Well, let's see if they accept. Oh, but I did a podcast as an excuse for not knowing your lines. Yeah. You give them my phone number, Chris, and I'll tell them. Actually, no. I'll tell you what we do. You send me the script, right? Then you keep one earpod in, and I just read it out to you.
Oh yeah, like a sitcom.
Yeah, it can't possibly go wrong. There can't possibly be some sort of mix-up.
And then over the road, Jess will be waiting for us to have dinner, and I'll do both. Try and do both on the same night.
Yeah, and then at one point, I'll be like, someone will walk past me who's just been to the fair, and they'll have balloons. I'll be like, what a lovely pair of balloons. And I'll just hear you getting punched.
And then I'll say, if I wanted an evening full of tension and pain, I could have just hung out with my mother-in-law.
Oh, I don't have the sound effect ready. Ba-dum-dum. I wish I had
I
the
really
sound
hope,
effect ready for that. That was good.
I
And then,
really
what's
hope-
the deal with mother-in-laws?
Yeah.
Just to tie it all back together.
I really hope Jess wasn't walking past the door at that moment because she won't know the context.
No. It's alright, you can explain it to her
Moaning
later.
about my mum on a
You
on a
can
podcast.
explain it to her later and go, but no, Dan, I'll confirm. And then she'll ring me and I'll be like, no, I don't know what he's talking about. That was a really mean thing he said
I'll
about
go. No, what I do, I'll go when it comes out. It comes out. Season 2 of Korra, episode 11, and she'll go, or episode 12, sorry, and she'll go. Oh no, fuck that, I can't be asked. I just assume.
Anyway, yeah, so feedback from last series. I'm going to do the quick one, which isn't even from last series. This one's from this series. But I just wanted to highlight this one because it backs up what we've been talking about. But this is the quick. I've got two ready. One's a much quicker one because it's not a question or something we really need to feedback on. It's just somebody saying something that I think is very yes, correct. It's feedback to one of the episodes we've already put out. And it just says, the long wait for book 3 where we can get cool creative action scenes again. And that comes from our friend the Ponderer.
Wow, people do not like Series 2.
No, and again, I've recommended it before, but do check out the Ponderer. Ponderer, sayer of smart things, sayer of interesting things. Head over to the Ponderer's YouTube channel and subscribe. There's some good videos in there. There is one breaking down Korra season by season, which I've not watched all of because I try not to watch reviews of a thing I'm reviewing myself until after I've reviewed it. So at some point, in fact, when we finish this series, I'll probably watch the next bit because I'm sure I think the Ponderer released their first video, their video around the end of season 1, and after we'd finished season 1, I watched up until they finished talking about season 1, and then I stopped. So now I can watch the next 5-10 minutes of it or whatever it is.
Cool, nice.
Yeah, but for the listeners who don't have to worry about having their thoughts too heavily influenced by another review they've encountered, go watch the whole thing. It's really good. I was enjoying it. It's a shame I couldn't watch it all at once, but yeah. Go check out the Ponderer. But yeah, the Ponderer clearly agreeing with our concerns about the action in this series. Which is, I think, fair.
And who can blame them?
Yes, agree. So there you go. That's the feedback we've received. This one's the feedback this series, but, whatever. So that's everything for this week. I'm going to give Chris some time to eat something between this and his rehearsal, where he's going to annoy everyone, because he's not going to know the lines. I'm a very supportive friend.
Oh, you want to know what's really bad, Dan? I'll tell you this quickly. It's also a play where I'm doing an American accent, and I can't do that either.
Oh no!
So
is it going to be like? Is it going to be like that clip from Graham Norton where Graham Norton says to Jack Whitehall, "Oh, the amazing thing about your performance in this film is that you're doing an American accent," and Olivia Colman goes, "What? In that clip we just watched?" Like she didn't believe that's what that was supposed to be.
It's like that. It's like that. There's one scene at the end where there's two scenes that have other characters in, but they're only in one's in 2 scenes and one's in 1 scene at the end. The character at the end is being played by someone who's actually American, and we've been like, "Can you just shit up your accent?" But what's really bad is, the other day I was trying to practice it, so I was talking to Jess in an American accent, but it was so much more annoying than that because I was talking not only in a bad American accent, but like I was in a play. So like I said to her, I was like, I'll try and do a bit now.
I wasn't going to ask, but I'm glad
Hey,
I'm glad you volunteered. Sorry.
Look at that guy over there wearing shorts in the chip shop. I think it's a little bit too cold to be wearing shorts. Don't you agree, Jessica? And she'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" She'd be like, "I think he just works there." And then I would go, check out how much more annoying than just doing the accent this is. Nah, I don't think he was working there. I mean, like I say, he was wearing shorts, and shorts just isn't a uniform. He was wearing the kind of shorts that you wear on a day when you're hoping to get a little bit of sunshine in your life, but unfortunately, just because you're wearing the shorts doesn't mean that sunshine's gonna come. Like, do you know what? It's like not only just really 2 layers of irritating right there.
Like, you've not just gone American, you've gone like Southern American. Like what is that part of the play that specific
Yeah,
region?
I think so.
You're like a Louisiana, like, I don't know. Like you're like a farmer in the south somewhere. I don't know. I don't know American accents that well, but it definitely doesn't sound like you're from either coast. I'll tell you that.
No, there's a reference to LA. It definitely doesn't sound like an LA accent. So what we've done is just taken the reference to LA out.
That's smart. That's really smart.
So yeah.
And how much are tickets for this play?
It's not going to be exciting. Well, we'll see.
Oh, I'm in. I can't speak for anyone else.
It's some good. It'd be really good acting. Potentially if the accent wasn't so bad. That sounds arrogant, but I just mean like it's quite a meaty part. It's
right.
Anyway,
you know
anyway, Dan.
But you know what, Chris? Just make him British. It's fine.
Well, Jess has said that to our friend who's directing many, many times, and they haven't done it yet. So, anyway, take us home, Daniel.
Well, I'll say. I'm gonna do the whole thing in like a bad, like what do you call it? Foghorn Leghorn voice. You can get us on this here Patreon.
I've got one line. I think. Do you want to hear? I've got one line that I think I say well. Do you
okay. Oh, please. Yes, absolutely.
It's like 3 words. What are you gonna do, Lee? See, I think that sounds all right.
Yeah. But you notice you dropped the Southern American element and you've just gone for like a generic American accent.
Oh mate, I'm going round the country in this place.
But I think it's an easier accent to do, I think.
Yeah,
that's why whenever you get these like British actors that do American accents, they never do, well not never, but they rarely do regional. Like Tom Holland's American accent is like very just generically American. It's very clean. He doesn't necessarily sound like he's from, he's not from Brooklyn, he's not doing that. He's just like, hey guys, I'm American. He's doing that thing, and like, he drops that, and then he becomes a British chimney sweep because that's his whole vibe. But like, same thing for like Hugh Laurie when he was doing House. Same thing for Benedict Cumberbatch. The fact you've gone Southern is what's I think making it harder for you, which is amusing, admittedly, but you've made it harder for yourself.
Yeah, but Dan,
by going Foghorn Leghorn.
No, because here's the thing. So at some points I'm Southern, at some points I'm Western, at some points I'm Mexican, and at some points I'm British. So, it's fine.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh man, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, Dan? Let's do it badly. It's fine. I've accepted it.
The thing is, right? The thing that people don't know is that after this phone call, I'm gonna be like, it'll be fine. You'll kill it. It's not gonna matter. All the supportive shit a friend should say to another friend in this situation. But right now on this podcast, Chris, I'm just gonna laugh at you.
Oh, mate, no. You're just because the thing is, it isn't. I'm not putting this on for comic effect. It's bad. It's just. So yeah, man. I'll send you the poster. See if you want to come.
Yeah, mate, I'm there. I'm booking my train right now. I'm coming. You just sold a ticket, my friend. That's all you've done. Hey, and if you want to put it out on the podcast where and when, I'm sure you'll sell more.
I think actually, hold on. I think we could, if you really wanted to.
Oh, absolutely, I want to. You don't think I want to come to this? Fucking planet you're living on.
I think we could time it so that you could come to the Saturday, and then we could all watch a race together on the Sunday before you go home.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, let's figure that out. That sounds fun. Yeah. Right. So that's everything for this week. here on the old Nothing But Static YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a good time. You can get us on Patreon, patreon.com/nothingbutstatic. That's my best attempt at an American accent. It's bad.
That's good. It's better than mine.
Well, again, I've done the simple thing. I've not gone for the southern drawl. That's the only thing I've done that's different. Patreon.com/nothingbutstatic. You can get our episodes a week early. I can't keep that up. That'll kill me. Everything a week early on Nothing But Static Patreon. So this and Rewind Reviews 1 week early over there for as little as $1 a month. $1 US a month. Oh, Jesus. I just can't. I don't think I'm going to get over this for anytime soon. It's so good. It's so good. Oh my god. You can get us on YouTube, youtube.com/nothingbutstatic UK if you wish to leave a comment that may very well be read out in this or the next series, depending on how quickly you do it. Well, actually, no. If you're hearing this one, this series will be finished recording, so it'll be the next series. But as we've proven this series, we read out some of the YouTube comments. You can also get us on Twitter at nothingbutstatic and at Dan Doolan. Although I don't think either of us use Twitter anymore, so. Sorry, did I say Twitter? I meant X. So, I've set it up to notify me when I get tweets, but I don't go on. Sorry. Also, though, if you do sign up to the Patreon, you get access to our Discord where you can ask us questions and, put your thoughts on various episodes there. Some of those I've already covered. Some of the feedback we got from the previous series I've covered in this series also from Discord. So some of it's Discord, some of it's... There is email as well, mail@nothingbutstatic.co.uk. If you want to give us some feedback, you're welcome to do that too. Otherwise, there's a few different ways you can support us. Obviously, the simplest is just to keep listening. We love you for that. That's massively helpful. The other option, if you want to go a step further, you can like or rate the podcast on the podcast app of your choice. So they usually have a rating system, stars, hearts, likes, thumbs ups, whatever it is. If you interact with the podcast in that way, it tells the algorithm, TM, that you liked it, and it's more likely to then share it with others. The other thing you can do is, of course, tell a friend. You got a friend who likes Avatar The Last Airbender, or really doesn't care for season 2 of Korra, then have you got a podcast for them? It starts real positive and wanes into just, what's gone wrong? That's this one, so you can point them at it. We'd appreciate that too. Of course, the main way to support us, if you actually want to support, is obviously over the Patreon. We celebrated last season, I think, finally breaking even on our Patreon. We are below that again, but that's fine. That is not a plea for more patrons. Just an observation that we are, we're in the market for patrons again, just to help us get to that point where we break even based on the costs of running this thing. If anyone has some spare cash, and I always say this, and I borrowed this from another podcast, but it's an accurate thing. The amount to give to the Patreon is whatever amount would, if it was to fall out of your pocket, you wouldn't notice. That's the right amount to give.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cost of living crisis, absolutely no effect on your financial situation is the amount you should give. And if that's nothing, then
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, head out and support Raphodraws, Raphodraws, on Instagram and Tumblr and Twitter and, X, and all those places. Launchlinks.io/u/Raphodraws for a list of various Raphodraws related links. Rapho drew the piece of art of Appa at Sunset that we use for this podcast. It's a great piece of art, but Rapho is a creator of many great pieces of art. Go support Rapho. Support all artists in general. They're an artist you have on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Throw them a like. Go buy a mug with their art on it or something. Go support an artist. That's what you can go do. Do that. And just any old artist. It doesn't have to be Rapho. I mean, Rapho's great, but whatever you like. just do that. Artists are struggling a lot at the moment, so go help an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why whenever I go to like a gig now of like like a sort of more local band, one that isn't like nationally or internationally sort of successful, I'll always like make sure I pick up merch or a record more so than I will for like a big band. Same. I'll buy a vinyl or recently from a band I saw called Lambrini Girls, I bought a hat that says "Fuck Turfs," which I wear with pride and get a lot of confused looks on the train, which I like. And I play a game.
I imagine some
What's that?
I'm with you.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I like playing the game of. So there's 3 categories that someone who reacts to the hat has: either agreement, not knowing what a turf is, which is a thing. Sadly, wish more people were educated, but on that subject. But there you go. And then people who are obviously turfs and don't like the hat. And I like to try and play a game of confused or angry to figure out if they're one of the latter 2 categories.
Is there a 4th category though of people that just don't like the language?
Oh, I guess that's true. Yes, yeah, that's true. Like if someone's with a kid, I suppose, and they see a hat that says "fuck," they're a bit. I hope my kid doesn't read your hat. And I'm like, I hope your kid reads my hat twice.
Yeah. Your kid's probably like, yeah, fuck him, he's right.
Your kid will probably grow up to be a more progressive person than you and be better off for it. Anyway, that's everything for this week. Go support artists. Thank you all for listening. We love you to bits. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll see you in a few weeks' time. Well, no, a week's time when we sit down to review Darkness Falls.